From SF Land, this is Dorking Out, a podcast for people who love to dork out about movies, TV, and everything pop culture.
Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and I once caught a fish this big. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Hello. I have Kevin Kline sleeping on top of me right now. I can't wake him up.
What's wrong with him?
Mr. President? Hello?
Mr. President? We are dorking out about 1993's Dave, because it's the movie we need right now. It stars Kevin Kline, Sigourney Weaver, Frank Langella, Kevin Dunn, Ving Rhames. I love Ving Rhames. Ben Kingsley, love Ben Kingsley. I'm just going to keep listing people I love. Charles Grodin, and in a very small part that Margo just referenced, Laura Linney.
Who's great. I remember her. She was on the PBS show about San Francisco.
Yeah, Tales of the City.
Tales of the City. Yeah, that's where I remember her from. Like, oh, that girl.
Yeah.
She's going places.
She is. She's so good. She's a pro.
Yeah.
This movie's directed by Ivan Reitman, who of course did like Meatballs and Stripes and Ghostbusters, of course, like one of my favorite movies. And it's written by Gary Ross, who wrote Pleasantville, which I just watched part of. Like, it was on at a brewery, and I was like, now I just want to go home and watch Pleasantville. Like, I would
totally watch it.
I got so distracted. But he also did Seabiscuit, and he adapted the book and directed the first Hunger Games movie, which I haven't seen. But
they're good movies.
Yeah.
I like them.
I will watch them someday. I just haven't yet. But we're talking about Dave. In case you guys haven't seen Dave, quick little synopsis here. The president suffers a stroke while having sex with a White House staffer. By the way, this is pre-Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky. I feel like I should mention that.
Yeah.
And his sinister, chief of staff recruits a look-alike to stand in for him so that they don't have to defer all their power to the vice president, which is played by Ben Kingsley. Did you see this one in the theater?
I absolutely did, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I love this movie so much.
I saw it in the theater, and I don't know if I saw it again after that. And it wasn't because I didn't like it. I just didn't see it. But watching it again, I just watched it again last night. I really love this movie, and it is such wish fulfillment. You want to believe that the president is going to be a good person who does the right thing. And I wonder why that speaks to us so much right now.
It's a mystery, isn't it?
It's so weird. This movie actually came out the same weekend as Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, FYI.
Oh, I saw that too.
So busy weekend at the movies. I did a lot of reading about Dave after I watched it last night, and they kept using the word Frank Capra came up a lot, and Capra-esque. And I think this movie is absolutely like that. And if you guys don't know who Frank Capra is, he directed It's a Wonderful Life and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. And they're all about movies they have sad or dark moments, but ultimately they're about courage and doing the right thing. And they're kind of hopeful. And I think Dave absolutely falls into that category.
Yeah, the everyman that jumps in and saves the day.
Yes.
And it's such a great performance. I love Kevin Kline just from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
He rides his bike. He has an employment agency, and his whole thing is that he gets a job for everybody. That's his whole raison d'etre.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is that, and then Kevin Kline, when he's the actual president, Bill Mitchell, who's just a total jackass.
Oh, he's a super prick.
He's a horrible person. And he's cheating on his wife, Ellen, with Laura Linney. And he gets caught. He has sex with Laura Linney and has a stroke.
Yeah.
They say a mild stroke in the movie.
It's mild. But
it's just a mild stroke.
But it's not mild. He's in a coma or whatever.
He's incapacitated, which is supposedly what happened with Woodrow Wilson.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was a real prick too. We should be on our list for what a creep.
Mm-hmm.
Woodrow Wilson segregated the White House for the first time ever. Real class act.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a stroke of some sort and he was incapacitated. And his wife basically ran the executive office the last few months of his life or whatever it was. And then also in the 70s, Rockefeller was a vice president and supposedly he died in a hotel room with his secretary who was like 22 at the time. She lived, but they were hanging out, let's just say, and he died.
Yeah.
So it's kind of based on both those things.
I'm sure they were in the middle of Bible study or something.
They were dictating.
Right.
As they used to say, dictation.
Yeah, and Laura Linney is the White House staffer that he's having sex with. It's a pretty small part, but she's Laura Linney and she's so great, and I like her. Every time she shows up, you're like, oh, Laura Linney. She's so great. I also wanted to mention, so Ving Rhames is in this movie and he has hair, which
is a little weird at first.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, what? And this is like before Pulp Fiction like kind of made him like a really big star, and I love Ving Rhames. I think he's like a really special kind of actor because he can't just play anybody. Like he's not that kind of actor. So like every character he plays is kind of special and interesting because he's special and interesting. I don't know if I'm explaining it very well, but I super love him, and I think he's really, really great in this movie. Everyone's really great in the movie, by the way.
Absolutely. It's very well cast.
And it also has Charles Grodin, who I wrote in my list is National Treasure Charles Grodin.
National Treasure Charles Grodin, I'm going to just say it, needs a better rug. Someone needed to talk to him.
For sure. That hair is...
Oh, my God.
Unfortunate.
Most unfortunate.
Yes. We should also put Midnight Run on our list.
I love Midnight Run.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Charles Grodin and Albert Brooks ever made a movie together, but they should. I think the two of them together, it might be the funniest thing ever.
They had to play brothers, yes.
Yes. So, as we discovered, so the president's kind of a prick. Him and the first lady, played by Sigourney Weaver, are very, like, estranged. They hardly talk to each other. They just make appearances. They show up. They, like, hold hands and be like, yay, you know, we're here. And then, like, the minute the cameras are gone and the people are gone, they just like go to the separate wings of the White House and they don't interact. I love the scene at the beginning that kind of sums it all up. Like they get off the plane together, the helicopter or whatever, and they're like walking and they hand him the dogs, the leash of the dogs, and they're all walking like, it's good to be home, yay. And like the second like the door closes, he like throws the leashes away. Like he's such a dick, even to his dogs. What kind of monster's a dick to dogs? Like throws it away. She doesn't even acknowledge him. She just like walks away. It's like a very telling scene without a lot of dialogue, really.
Yeah. And you get the idea that she sacrificed a lot to be with him. Mm-hmm. They don't have kids. And it's just all about Bill.
Yes.
And what Bill wants. And like you said, he just seems like an evil person.
Yeah.
So,
it sounds like maybe he started out as someone who had good ideas and then got very corrupt as that happens a lot to these politicians. Like maybe he got into it for the right ideas or something, because he has Kevin Dunn. Kevin Dunn's really good in this movie. He has like the best reactions. He plays the communications director, and he clearly had like good ideas about what he thought this job was going to be, but he does go along for the evil ride for a bit. Like,
yeah. Well, they have their plans in place, right? They have they want these bills to pass, and they don't want to deal with Ben Kingsley, the vice president. So that's why they hire him to take over. And somehow he goes his whole life looking exactly like the president, and no one ever stops him. Yeah. But now he is the president, and he can't go anywhere. It's they're asking for a lot.
They are,
but it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you have to buy in. You have to go all in on the idea, and the idea that like even his own wife wouldn't notice the difference right away because they hardly acknowledge each other and keep up appearances. You know, I guess that makes sense. But yes, Frank Langella is quite sinister in this movie, and one of the things I like about his performance is he plays it really straight.
Yeah.
Like everyone else around him, it's an Ivan Reitman movie, but he's quite the villain. I'm afraid of him.
Plays. Yeah, he's scary. He's a very scary guy. Well, he's a theater trained actor. I think that's kind of his energy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's the evil person, and Kevin Dunn's the nicer guy.
Yeah.
And there's just little things like we used to have press conferences and press briefings all the time at our White House. That used to be considered something the American public should have.
Imagine
that. But he all of a sudden he comes out. And they're basically saying the whole ruse is that the president's just had a mild stroke. But guess what? He's better now. And he's feeling so good and sprightly. We're just going to send him around so you guys can see him. And he plays with the dogs and he pitches at an Orioles game. And he says, God bless America at one point. And people just start to respond to him like, hey, he's fun. Like the whole thing. I caught a fish this big.
Okay, that's no joke. I say that all the time about stuff.
Me too.
I that scene makes me laugh really hard because if you guys haven't seen it, watch the trailer because I'm pretty sure it's in the trailer. He's wearing these big robotic arms, like controlling like at a factory, and he does the whole like I once caught a fish this big, and then he kind of dances with them, and it's very funny.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when we have like the McLaughlin group, which used to be a thing.
Which just reminds me of the
Dana Carvey.
Wrong. The answer is 8.
The early 90s are so innocent in so many ways. It's just these were our big like political stars at the time.
I know.
It's Tip O'Neill's in here. I mean, it's just crazy.
It is. I love that throughout the movie, Kevin Kline is always wearing like pajamas that have like a presidential seal on them, or like a jacket that has a presidential seal, or we see like the president who's in his like vegetative state and his like hospital gown has a presidential seal. I'm like, is this a thing? Do they really are they always so branded?
You know what? I bet they are. It wouldn't shock me if they are that branded.
I guess they could be. I just thought it was kind of funny.
It is funny, and I just realized, too, as I'm saying this out loud, this is 2 years before there was a Fox News channel. So it was a very gentle time politically.
It was.
I went with political talk shows, let's just say.
Yeah, and the scandals in this movie are actually downright adorable compared to what we get now. It's like,
yeah.
It's all about like money. It's like savings and loans scandals. The idea that this would somehow ruin your political career when now you can. Our president could practically. He wasn't joking when he said I could murder someone on Fifth Avenue and it wouldn't matter. Like it's so awful. Anyway, Dave makes you feel hopeful. It's a very hopeful movie, and it's the idea about maybe a good man could be a good president, and I like that. I like the way it made me feel. And when we were done watching, I told my husband, I was like, you should run for office. I think you'd be really good. I'm like, please run for office. I would totally wear a pin and say, vote for David.
I like the relationship he builds with Ellen.
Yeah.
Is that the wife's name, Ellen?
Yes.
Yeah, Ellen Mitchell, Sigourney Weaver. She hates him at first because he's a dick. Her real husband's a dick. Then she realizes what's going on, and they have a really good, strong relationship. She sees his decency, and she likes him better than the guy that's,
Yeah, she was married to.
Dying. Yeah, that shithead. So I like their scenes together. I like it when they go to the homeless shelter.
Oh, that's
and he has that moment with the kid. Yeah, there's just some really good scenes. He's a decent human.
Yes.
Which is what we're all supposed to be responding to. And Frank Langella's character Bob is not. And he's trying, and I love the scene when he calls his friend Murray Blum to come balance the books.
Oh my God, I love that scene too.
He's just Charles Grodin in the car, like, hello, Blum. BLUM, Blum.
And he, like, I don't know what it's like, a Toyota Tercel or something. Like, parks it like right in front of the White House, and he's like, will you help me trim $65 million? $650 million from the budget. so that I could, fund these homeless shelters, which is like Ellen's kind of
Pet
project. Yeah,
Yeah.
that he wanted to do, and it was kind of the bill that evil Frank Langella wanted to kill, right? So he goes behind his back and he kills it, and he's like, if you can trim the budget by $650 million, you can keep your stupid shelters, or whatever he says, because he's such an asshole. It's like, I don't care about homeless kids, fuck them. And so he brings in Murray, and they go through the budget line by line, and then he has this cabinet meeting, and he slowly like tells them, like, why are we paying contractors that aren't delivering? Well, there's 23 million we could save, and he just goes through, and it's so funny because at the end they're all clapping like, yay, you trimmed our budget.
You did something. We finally did something worthwhile.
But it's kind of funny because then like everyone in the room seem like they're like happy that he cut their budgets, which would never happen. But the idea that all these people who are in the government got into it because they did want to help people, and then as they become like career politicians, they get jaded and hard, and it's more about like, I scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. And like as he continues to do these good things, it kind of starts to remind people maybe why they got into politics in the first place. And I don't, it's just really, really sweet. And like you said, I love his relationship with Ellen, with Sigourney Weaver. It's very, it's like a slow build. Like she slowly warms up to him, and she starts to realize like, this isn't the man I married. Literally, this isn't the man I married. Like it's somebody else. And her reaction to finding out that he is someone else, I think is really funny, because it could have been, they could have added like another 20 minutes to the movie of her just like, I'm going to tell on you, and all this stuff. But she doesn't do that. Instead, it's, I know it's happening here, and I'm not really the first lady anymore. I'm going to leave. But then she decides to stay and help him. And their relationship is really sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. They're in it to win it.
Yeah.
Like they become this power couple, and they have each other's back. And then they bring Ben Kingsley back from his trip to Africa, and we're meant to see him as kind of a rube and kind of a dum-dum, and nobody takes him seriously, and he can't understand why he was sent to Africa. And then we find out that Dave's in the middle of some savings and loan scandal, and the best thing that he can do would be to basically fake his death, or
fake having another stroke.
In the middle of it, is it an impeachment? It's a trial.
Well, I don't even know what if it's that. It's more like, I've called both sides of Congress together to speak.
Yes.
It's not a State of the Union. It's not anything like that. It's just, it's a movie moment, which is fine.
Yes.
I'm fine.
Which is
I'm
fine.
into it.
And he goes like this. He points to the vice president. This is a good, honorable man. Like saying that out there. And then he has like the stroke on the floor, and that's when they sneak them out. And there's the day they find out then Dave is dead, and then that's Bill is dead. Excuse me. Dave gets away, never has any plastic surgery or anything. Still looks exactly like Bill Mitchell, and he's like 30 minutes away. He's not that far away. But one day he's going to run for office, and Sigourney Weaver shows up, and that's when they finally kiss.
Oh, it's
so just like, yay.
And then the door closes, and Ving Rhames is there, still working as like his bodyguard, because he loves him so much. And I wanted to, there's a really, really sweet scene where they wheel the real president out of the ambulance, and Dave is in the front seat of the ambulance. And Ving Rhames' bodyguard has been spending all this time with Dave, like talking to him, like helping him. And he says, I would have taken a bullet for you.
Which is a big deal, because he didn't like him at first.
Yeah. And I am not going to lie. When I saw it in the theater, and when I watched it again last night, I found it very touching. I got a little choked up.
No, I do too, because he really would put his life on the line for him, because he respects him now.
Yeah. And my husband watched this movie. So I told Margo this off mic. My husband and I have been married almost 10 years, and I'm still like learning random things about him that I just never knew before. And one of them is apparently he's like a Dave super fan. Like he's seen this movie like many, 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 many times. Apparently he used to own the DVD, but he like sold it at one point because he lost his job. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he loves this movie, and he's like the scene with Ving Rhames saying, "I would take a bullet for you," chokes him up like every time. And I'm like, it's such a good scene. And even like right before that, when he's giving his big speech in front of the Congress, and it's a very like Mr. Smith goes to Washington moment, you know?
Yeah.
But he says like, we've got so many problems. I wrote this down. We've got so many problems that we don't even want to look at them anymore. And we feel like we can't do anything about it. And we don't know where to start. I'm like, it's so much worse now.
It's I know, that's the problem. It's been, how old is this movie from now? Is it?
It's 93, so
28 years?
Yeah, like 27 years.
Jesus, and everything is so much worse.
Yeah.
And it's so much, there's far less discussion amongst each other. There's far less, I mean, it's become so divided and divisive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so quaint. Like I was thinking to myself, I would give up the internet to live in this world.
Yeah.
Like I would full on give up a lot of things to have this kind of a world.
Mm-hmm.
This person as a president, this is our press. These are it's so hard to watch sometimes because it's gotten so much shittier.
Yes. But I like that he says that. And then I like that the movie kind of gives you like a little bit of an answer when it said, like, it shows him like running for city council. It's like, these are like the things you can do. You can donate, you can volunteer, you can run for city council, you can start making progress in like on a smaller scale and like make your world, like your community, a better place. And I like that. It's very hopeful.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. It ends on a very hopeful note.
And I just think this movie's very underappreciated. When I was watching it, it's not a movie people talk about at all. Like nobody's like, you know, hey, let's talk about Dave. I don't know any other podcast that did an episode about Dave. Maybe they did. I didn't see one, but
yeah,
it's because we're always awesome and first. Just saying.
It's one of my feel-good movies. There's lots of times I quote from it. I love Bonnie Hunt as the tour guide.
Oh my
gosh. We're walking, and we're stopping.
And he's walking.
That's Bob Alexander. Okay, let's go. We're walking. Like, there's so many good people like that with little roles.
I love Bonnie Hunt in everything, by the way. I just want to say that.
All the things.
She is also a national treasure. I think everyone's a national treasure, but I love Bonnie Hunt. There's a lot of like guest appearances by a lot of politicians that they like, even at the time you were like, what an asshole, but like they seem so tame compared to today's standards. Speaking of assholes, we get a guest appearance by Oliver Stone.
I love that scene. That cracks me up and I don't know if anybody even gets it now.
I know. I'm like, I get it, but yeah.
Because it came out like a year or two after JFK, which is a movie I totally want us to talk about someday because I'm obsessed with that movie. I've seen that movie like 100 times. But he was thought of being a conspiracy theorist and a kook.
Yes.
And so that's the perfect reason to have him, you know, and he does it well. They have the Larry King, like every time you have a Washington D.C. movie in the 90s, you have to have Larry King.
Yes.
You have to have Tip O'Neill. You have to have the McLaughlin group somewhere in there. You know, and it just, like you said, it seems so quaint now. Like they got into arguments and they're like, not even arguments now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
They have like polite disagreements.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of Jay Leno in this. Like, what's the deal with the president?
Has he had too many Happy Meals?
Whoa.
That was his political comedy, by the way. That really pretty much was what he could handle.
Look, I know that some people love Jay Leno, but Jay Leno
wrong.
but they're wrong. Jay Leno was never my jam. Like, no, it's fine. Like, he is no Johnny Carson.
I loved Carson, and apparently Carson was a real asshole.
Yes.
Like, You know, he's a very complicated man, but
Yes.
I always thought Leno was just kind of goofy
Yeah.
and not in a fun way, just sort of. He was very funny when he used to be on David Letterman in like the early mid 80s when he was a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, when he was just a stand-up.
He was hilarious.
Yeah. Jimmy Fallon's actually a good replacement for Jay Leno.
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon's like that. He's very easy, I guess. You know, it's just like, I'm not going to challenge you in any way whatsoever. And that's fine. Not every comedian needs to be challenging, I guess. But side tangent. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it had to have your Jay Leno doing his thing. Yeah.
So I would like a Kevin Kline, Ving Rhames buddy movie.
Yeah, where's the next one?
I want it. They can make a sequel to Dave.
Well, Kevin Kline and Sigourney Weaver can be in all the movies as far as I'm concerned. Like, just have them working together.
I agree. Do you think Dave and Ellen are still together?
Absolutely, and they adopted kids.
Mm-hmm. They love each other.
And they have cats and dogs.
Oh, they live on a farm. Do you think Dave is president by now?
No, I think though. I think he's like a senator or something. Even though he looks exactly like the man that used to be president.
Okay,
so it doesn't. That's never an issue.
I was wondering. So Sigourney Weaver shows up at his office, and they kiss, and they're clearly going to be together. But she's still like a former first lady. There's going to be press. Are they not going to think it's weird that she is now together with someone who looks exactly like her dead husband?
And who used to do gigs impersonating her dead husband, like riding the pig into the thing. Did you see that first scene?
Yes.
I was so upset for that pig. I mean, I know pigs are really big and they can handle a lot, but I was like, get off the pig.
Also, pigs are really smart. The pig is probably like, get the fuck off my back. And
they're very sweet too. They're very loyal.
But they do call them piggyback rides, so maybe pigs get it.
You know what? I stand corrected.
Pigs get it, right? They're like, that's my thing.
That's my jam.
He's like, what do I expect? I'm a pig.
I'm a pig. I give piggyback rides. What are you gonna do?
When I was finished watching this, Amazon suggested I watch Protocol with Goldie Hawn.
I love Protocol. I love Protocol so much. I would totally watch that.
We need to watch Protocol. We need to put it on the list.
That movie's funny as shit.
I haven't seen it in a really long time, but Goldie Hawn made a series of movies. So it was like Overboard, which I'm sure is very problematic, but I would love to rewatch. Protocol, Wildcats.
Love Wildcats.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Maybe we need to do like a little Goldie Hawn double feature.
Like a Goldie month.
Yeah. And we could do Protocol and Wildcats.
And Private Benjamin.
Oh my God.
Are you kidding?
I own Foul Play. We could also talk about Foul Play. Filmed here in San Francisco.
We have a month of Goldie.
It's a solid Goldie month.
You're welcome, world.
I'm so good at shit like that. So the writer of this, Gary Ross, I read that he also worked for Michael Dukakis's presidential campaign.
Oh, womp womp.
But he also fed jokes to Bill Clinton, apparently. Dee Dee Myers, like Clinton's former press secretary, she told the Los Angeles Times that Gary can write a joke that also incorporates the candidate's message, and that's fairly unique. So now I'm kind of wondering what jokes he wrote for Clinton. And then
I don't know.
And then I read in Variety, I really did dork out about this movie, you guys. I went down a total rabbit hole last night. President Barack Obama told Kevin Kline that he loves Dave. He loves this movie. And I was like, of course he does.
Of course, yeah, that's his dream, yeah.
And then he said, I love watching it when I'm depressed because you make it look so fun, you make it look so easy. And then he told Kline that our current president would be rooting for the evil President Mitchell.
Oh no, he's on Bob Alexander's side. He doesn't even understand why there's a problem.
Yeah, he's like, I don't get it. That's fine. And I also wanted to mention this movie was nominated for Best Original Screenplay. Which comedies are not normally nominated, but it was nominated for Best Original Screenplay, and so was Sleepless in Seattle.
Was that his also?
No, I'm just that's a romantic comedy. Those are not usually nominated for things. I would like them to be, but they're
Yeah,
not.
because people actually watch them.
Yes. So then the other ones were Philadelphia, and In the Line. I didn't mean to kind of snicker there. Just
No,
it
it's
was.
just a different vibe.
It was like
Different
the
vibe.
anti-comedy. Philadelphia. In the Line of Fire was
I love
nominated,
In the Line of Fire.
and then the winner was The Piano.
I hated the piano.
Oh,
That movie made me crazy.
I saw it just the once in the theater, and I think I just thought everyone was really good in it, but I have never rewatched it ever.
It's one of those Oscar movies. Like, it's totally fine. It's got great performances. I mean, it's a different story than you're normally going to see, but it's like, yeah, I'll see it the one time as homework because I'm going to watch the Oscars. I'm never going to watch this shit again.
Yeah.
You know, I'll watch Dave 100 times.
Yeah. It's a you're right. It's like Oscar homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, Philadelphia is kind of like that too.
You know what I will say? I love Philadelphia. I've seen that like 100 times. I don't know why.
I have not.
I know. And it makes me cry my eyes out every time too.
Well, it's because it's
sad. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that In the Line of Fire is in this list.
It's a good movie. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have seen it. It's just when you think about it, it's kind of like it's like a political thriller, I guess.
Yeah,
but it's also
like
kind of actiony, you know. But then The Fugitive was nominated for a ton of shit, like the year before, maybe even this year actually. So I don't know. It's a different time. I feel like these things aren't nominated anymore.
No, these are like really enjoyable movies because The Fugitive I've seen like 100 times.
Yeah.
Like these are movies I've seen over and over again. Oh, it's rad. I mean, it's so enjoyable and funny and scary, and it's got a lot going for it.
Yeah. So then other people they considered for Dave was Kevin Costner.
He wouldn't have been good.
No, I don't think he would have either. And, you know, I love Costner, but I don't think this is the right role for him. I don't know if he could have pulled off the duality. Like, he could have played maybe the Dave part, but not the Dick President part.
No, he doesn't have that range.
No, but I do love Costner. And then the other one is Warren Beatty.
Who could have been good?
Yeah. And Warren Beatty went on to make Bulworth, which is somewhere on our list. And I think we might do that before the election because I think that one might be very interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
And then for the role of Ellen that Sigourney Weaver played, they had Kate Capshaw. Which I was like, she was like barely a star at this, right? Like, I mean, she was famous for being married to Steven Spielberg at this point, but she might have been fine. Sally Field.
Yes.
And then Renee Russo.
Renee Russo would have been good too.
Yeah.
I think she's underrated. I like Renee Russo.
I like Renee Russo a lot. And Sally Field and Kevin Kline went on and made Soap Dish.
Which is a movie we have to talk about one day. That is one of my favorite comedies.
Yeah. That movie's funny as shit. I haven't seen it in a long time. I'll totally rewatch it. Do you want to hear about some other 1993 movies?
Sure.
Okay. So, I didn't do top 10 because we've done 93 before. Body of Evidence.
That's like Madonna's worst movie, which is saying something.
It's so bad. I do think we should watch it sometime and talk about it. Like you know, it's one of those like really cheesy like 90s thrillers.
Sex movies. It's one of the sex thrillers.
And speaking of, also in 93, Sliver.
Oh, so stupid.
So stupid. It's so
but
stupid.
Fun.
With Sharon Stone and one of the Baldwins, William, right? William Baldwin.
Yeah, William Baldwin, yeah.
The Crying Game came out in 93.
I remember really liking that movie.
Me too.
Yeah.
Benny and June.
Yes.
Yeah. Everyone liked that. Cliffhanger.
I love Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger is very entertaining.
It's fun. It's a fun movie.
I think this one's underappreciated too. What's Love Got to Do with It?
Oh, I love this movie.
Angela Bassett is the fucking shit in that movie.
She's is
stupid good in that movie. And so is Lawrence Fishburne. I don't want to take away from him. He's playing Ike Turner. He's playing a fucked up role.
Yeah, who's a future creep on our other show. Yep. What a creep, yes. Yep.
Also 93, So I Married an Ex-Murderer.
So my sister was in that movie.
What?
She was an extra in a bunch of movies. She went to San Francisco State, And for extra money, she signed up to be in extra movies. And a couple of times we did it together, but this is the one she did by herself. And it's Mike Myers. And there's a scene where he's a beat poet or something.
Yeah. Whoa,
and he goes,
man.
woman, whoa, man. And my sister said, like, she sat there for 8 hours when they did that. And it was like, you wanted to hate him when you were done. You were just like, ugh, this is so not funny.
Oh my God. That movie's very entertaining though.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. My husband David did the same thing. He did extra work around San Francisco too. And he was in The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith.
Oh, okay.
Like, and he shows up on, like, I guess he's in like a couple of scenes. Although I watched the movie and I'm like, I couldn't find you. So I need to watch it with him so he could point himself out to me. The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin came out.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
That movie.
That messed me up.
Yeah. You're like, holy shit, the kid from Home Alone is evil. Evil. It's good. Philadelphia, which we already mentioned. And then I know this is on our list somewhere. Tombstone.
I fucking love Tombstone.
Yes.
I saw that 3 times in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it so much. And then as soon as it was out on VHS, I bought it.
Yeah.
I took it with me to New York when I moved. I had like a little stack of DVDs. That was one of them. My 2 roommates were like, you like this movie? I'm like, it's the best movie ever.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
If someone doesn't like Tombstone, then, well, I'm just sorry, they're an asshole. Everyone likes
asshole.
Everyone likes Tombstone. Come on.
It's such it's a goofy, enjoyable movie. And Val Kilmer's never been better.
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
That movie's rad.
Yeah.
Do you have some 93 songs?
I do. So we've done this year before. So I just picked a few just to give a flavor for the time. We have Mariah Carey, Dream Lover.
That's a good song.
I love this song, Duran Duran, Come Undone.
Such a good song.
Mid-90s Duran Duran was exceptional. It was so good. Cypress Hill, Insane in the Membrane.
That song is dope. I love that song still.
Loco. Meatloaf, I Do Anything for Love, but I won't do that. We've never found out what it was.
I know. I quote that song all the time. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that.
Yep.
Nope, won't do it.
Lenny Kravitz, Are You Gonna Go My Way?
Okay, I love that song too.
And my last one from this time, 1993, Salt and Pepper, Shoop.
That song is on many, many playlists for me. I love that song. Yeah. I love Salt and Pepper.
I love them both. I think they're great. Yeah. And Spinderella.
They still tour sometimes, and I think they still play like the county fair like circuit. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I'm not saying that like, fuck them, they play the county fair. I will totally go see shit at the county fair. I love seeing people there. But I keep missing them. So I'm going to have to pay attention.
County fairs are fun. I mean,
they're super fun.
You go and you have your cotton candy, you go on a few rides, you're in a good mood, and then you see a big show. And it's summer. It's all great.
Yep. For example, this summer, I'm seeing Chicago and Rick Springfield.
Rick is great live.
So Rick Springfield was my first ever concert when I was a kid.
Oh, really? Where'd you see him?
At the Concord Pavilion. And he's playing the Concord Pavilion again. And I sent it to my sister and one of our oldest friends, Amanda. And I was like, ladies, Rick Springfield's coming. And they're like, holy shit, buy tickets right now. So we're going to see Rick Springfield and relive our childhood. It's going to be amazing.
Every once in a while, if you follow me on Spotify, it's like late at night and there's nothing on TV and I'm just kind of relaxing into bed. I'll put on just my early 80s jams,
Mm-hmm.
And Rick Springfield, Working Class Dog, comes right up.
Yep.
Like many a time. Puts me in my happy space.
Yeah. We had his first 2 albums on 8-track. And we used to listen to them all the time. And my mom's gigantic Chevy Blazer. Anyway, I'm going to see Rick Springfield. What else are you dorking out about, Margo?
Well, it's funny that I just realized this from the list, but last night I had some time to chill out in front of the TV and I turned on Hulu and they have a new show, High Fidelity.
Oh, yeah.
And it stars Zoe Kravitz, who's the daughter of Lisa Bonet and Lenny Kravitz. She's stunning. Like,
yes.
she's beautiful. Like, not a stitch of makeup on her face, just in like t-shirt and jeans or whatever. She owns a record shop. She totally takes over the role that John Cusack had. I own the book, the original book in paperback. I still have it. Nick Hornby. I'm a big fan of Nick Hornby.
Too.
He created this with Zoe, and it's got great music, great supporting characters. It's the same thing. Like, she's going through all of the relationships in her life and what worked and what didn't work. But at one point last night, I was watching an episode. I'm like, am I drunk or am I really seeing this? But she's listening to Heart of Glass by Blondie. And all of a sudden, Debbie Harry just kind of shows up in the room and just like, hey, you're doing fine. Don't worry about it. You're doing great, you know? And I'm like, this is my kind of show. It's like completely hitting my pleasure center in my brain. It takes place in Brooklyn. Not my Brooklyn, but still, it's Brooklyn.
Yeah. Brooklyn.
A part of Brooklyn I don't venture to because I get lost and there's too many hipsters. But that's okay. It's awesome. And the episodes are 30 minutes apiece. You will laugh out loud every time. There's always something really funny. Great music selections. And it's just a really fun, enjoyable story.
That's a really great recommendation. I will check it out. I love the movie.
Oh, me too.
I think the movie is it's
an improvement on the book.
Yeah, I think the movie's actually better than I like the book, but I think the movie is way better than the book, and one of the rare movies that talks about what relationships are like kind of after that happily ever after moment that so many romantic comedies end at. This one kind of picks up after that. And I just think it's really great. So I will totally watch that. Does she have like wacky record store employees like the movie?
She has 2 wacky record store employees. I will give away something because it cracked me up so much. But somebody comes into the store and wants to buy a Michael Jackson record. And they're like, well, when? And she's like, well, off the wall. So they're kind of calculating in their heads, like, is this when he was a pedophile or not? You know, they don't want to sell it to her because of that. And then she goes, oh, allegedly. And like, no, it's very funny, though, the way it kind of transpires. But, yeah, it's got a little bit of everything. And I super enjoy it.
All right. Awesome pick. So I wanted to talk about, are you going to participate in F This Movie Fest this year? That's kind of what I'm talking out about.
It's this next Saturday, right?
Yeah. So you're listening to this on Sunday. F This Movie Fest is on the Saturday. So what's the actual?
I think it's the 7th. Hold on. I think it's the 7th.
I think you're right. It's the 7th. And it's like the only like all Twitter film festival. And this year, the year is 1990. So it's like 6 movies, all from 1990. And I think you and I talked about this before, and I think we're kind of dividing it up because you were saying maybe you were going to do Tremors.
Yes,
which is the
I'm
first
definitely going to do Tremors.
And so all the movies are Tremors, then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Dick Tracy, which we did an episode on if you want to listen to it, Hard to Kill with Steven Seagal, creep, Darkman, and then Total Recall. And what you do is you start the movie. Everyone starts the movie at the exact same time, and then you just tweet about it. And it's like you're all watching it together. And it sounds like you're going to do the early ones. So it's like Tremors and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then we're both skipping Dick Tracy.
I'm not going to do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, by the way.
Okay. I thought you said you were for some reason.
No. I'm going to watch that first one, and I'll probably watch Total Recall, which I haven't seen in years.
Yeah.
So I'll watch the first one, last one. But she says, and you follow the hashtag #FThisMovieFest, and you just join the fun, and you meet so many cool people. It's a time when Twitter's nice and fun and friendly.
It reminds you of when like a funner time on Twitter, basically. So my husband and I we're taking our son out to spend the night at grandma's. So we are going to join in for Hard to Kill, Darkman, and Total Recall. And it's going to be really fun. I'm excited. I haven't seen Darkman since the theater.
Is that Liam Neeson?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I think, and Frances McDormand is in it too.
Oh.
I haven't seen it in years. It's directed by Sam Raimi. That's the one I'm actually most excited about. Hard to Kill, I'm like, that played at my movie theater. And we did a whole episode of Steven Seagal and our What a Creep, if you want to hear it sometime. And all of his movies are like Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, Under Siege, Out for Justice, that sort of thing. But this is one of those ones with Kelly LeBrock. And I'm like, I don't know how well that one's going to play for me, but I am very excited to watch Dark Man. So that's kind of what I'm dorking out about.
It's a good thing to dork out about, and it's a great show. You guys should be paying attention.
Yeah.
If you like movies, you would like the show.
Yes. Where can people find you on the internet, Margo?
You can find me on social media at Brooklyn Fitchick. That's for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And my blog is brooklynfitchick.com.
And you can find both of us at What a Creep, and we have a Patreon page where we talk about different kind of creeps in the news, and then we end every episode with someone who's not a creep so that you don't end the episode feeling super fucking depressed. Please listen. It's fun. You can find Dorking Out at dorkingout.com and Dorking Out Show on Twitter and Facebook sometimes. If you could give us a review on Apple Podcasts, that would be amazing. You could just even do just like 5 stars. You don't even have to write something clever or whatever. You could just be like 5 stars. If you want to give us 1 star, you don't need to give us a review. That's fine. I get it. I have a dirty mouth. It offends you. It's fine. You don't need to leave me 1 star. And you can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter. And this was super fun. I'm so glad we got to talk about Dave. I'm feeling all hopeful and shit.
I'm feeling very 93 and shit right now.
Margo, I would take a bullet for you.
Mr. President? Tick, 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 Mr. President?